For 5.3.4, we were asked to identify the x-intercepts given this quadratic, and we were also given the quadratic formula to plug our values in. Our very first step when doing the quadratic formula needs to be identifying your a, b, and c values. And so our a value is always in front of the squared term. So right here, our a value is the coefficient out in front. Make sure you bring the negative with it, so that's negative 16. Our b value is always in front of the regular term, so the x, or in our case the t, which is positive 35. And our c term is the constant, the number by itself, which is positive 50. Once we have a, b, and c, we can go ahead and plug them into the quadratic formula. So I'm just going to write that down really quickly, and you will be given this formula on your assessments and quizzes and things like that. So you don't have to have that formula memorized, you just need to know how to use it, which is what we're about to do. So once you have your a, b, and c, you can go ahead and plug them into the formula inside parentheses wherever you see the value. So I have x equals, don't forget this negative here, it's a very common thing. There's already a negative there from the formula. And then in parentheses, I have 35 plus or minus the square root. And then I have another b, so in parentheses 35 again, squared minus 4, and then in parentheses negative 16 and 50. And then there's this big fraction bar. This is a 2 on the bottom, and an a, which is negative 16. So you want to plug everything into the formula inside parentheses, and you should have your quadratic formula set up like this. Once we are here, then we are going to simplify in 3 parts. We are going to simplify this first part, then this second part, and then this third part. The reason we can't just type everything into the calculator is because of this plus or minus sign. We have to like break that into 2 problems in a little bit, and so we can't just type all of it in. So to start simplifying, I want to simplify this first part right here. So in this case, I have a negative out front, and then I have a 35. So that just gives me negative 35. Plus or minus. And then this part you'll want to type into your calculator exactly as it is written. You can use the Google calculator, or in my case, I'm going to use my actual calculator. So we have the square root, parentheses, 35, parentheses, squared, minus 4, parentheses, negative 16, parentheses, 50. So I just kept typing. I included all my parentheses. The one mistake that is common is this is a minus sign, not a negative. So when you have the minus 4, it is subtraction. This is a negative though, because 16 is negative. So that's a common thing that could have went wrong. And I get 66.5206. We can just round to 1 decimal place, so 66.5. So that was this whole thing we typed in together, and now we're going to do the bottom together. So we still have our fraction bar, and 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. And now you want to break that into 2 problems. We're going to break it into a positive problem, a plus problem, and a minus problem. And I like to label mine. And all that means is that you're going to rewrite this twice, once with only a plus and once with only a minus. So x equals negative 35 plus 66.5. And x equals negative 35 minus 66.5. So once you simplify each of those three pieces, you want to break this into a plus problem and a minus problem, and this is where we're going to get our answers. So I'm just going to type this into my calculator. You can either put this inside parentheses and then just type it in as it is, or you can hit equals after you type the top. So if you do negative 35 plus 66.5, hit equals, and then divide by negative 32. We get negative 0.9. If I'm going to round up, though, that's going to be negative 1 because 8 is bigger, so I need to round up, and that gives me negative 1. So one of my answers is x equals negative 1. Then same thing over here, but I'm going to hit minus instead, so negative 35 minus 66.5, and then divide, and I get 3.1, but we need to round up, so 3.2. And those are our two answers. These are our two x-intercepts for our quadratic. So once you get really good at typing in the calculator these problems, they'll go by quicker, but you just have to remember, don't lose any of your negatives up when you make your A, B, and C. Plug everything inside parentheses. Simplify each of the three pieces first, and then split it into two problems.